This weekend at UFC Fight Night in London, we got a massive main event between two undefeated fighters, Movsar Evloev and Lerone Murphy, and someone's O has got to go, with the winner of this fight putting themselves right in line for the next title shot. Murphy might have the striking advantage, but Evloev brings relentless wrestling, pressure, and cardio that's broken down almost everyone he's fought so far. So the big question is, can Murphy keep this fight standing on the feet long enough to pull off a win? Or will Evloev's wrestling prove once again to be too much of a difference? In this video, I will be breaking it down and giving you guys my final official predictions. Let's get into it. Now, this fight is huge for the featherweight division, as both Movsar Evloev and Lerone Murphy come into this bout with undefeated records. And both fighters are just one performance away from entering the title picture. Evloev has quietly built one of the best records in the division, beating top competition with wins over Diego Lopez, Arnold Allen, and Aljamain Sterling, while staying perfect in his career. Meanwhile, Murphy has been on a serious run himself, beating Josh Emmett in a 5-round main event and delivering one of the best knockouts of the year in his last fight against Aaron Pico, proving he belongs with the elites at 145 pounds. With both fighters headlining this card, the winner puts themselves next for fighting for the belt. And stylistically, this is a fascinating matchup because these fighters both win in very different ways. First, starting with Lerone Murphy. He's the more dangerous striker in this matchup. Murphy has really clean boxing, good timing, and he does a great job at landing sharp counters when his opponents try to close the distance. And when this fight is happening at range, that is where Murphy is going to have his biggest advantages. He's faster, more technical on the feet, and he has the power to make Evloev respect what's coming back to him. Now, one thing Murphy has shown in recent fights, like his fight against Aaron Pico and even in the Danny Gay fight, is that he can get taken down quite easily sometimes, which is actually quite worrisome for Murphy because Evloev is going to be the best grappler he has faced so far. But what Murphy does do really well is when he does get taken down, is finding ways to scramble back to his feet and not staying stuck for long periods of time. He is a very difficult person to just hold down. So, if Murphy wants any chance at all to win this fight, he has to be working on defending enough takedowns, and doing that is going to first force Evloev into a striking battle where Murphy can do what he does best, looking for clean shots and picking him apart on the feet. The longer he's able to keep the fight standing, the more dangerous Murphy will become. Now, when you look at Movsar Evloev, the biggest thing that stands out is his relentless wrestling and constant pressure. He is just one of those fighters that never really gives his opponent a chance to get comfortable. He's constantly moving forward, constantly threatening takedowns, and constantly forcing you to work. And even when he's not landing those takedowns, he's going to push the opponent towards the cage, force the clinch, and make the fight very ugly. And doing the small things like that are very important in a matchup like this because that type of pressure can really disrupt a striker's rhythm. Now, Murphy might be the better striker on paper, but if Evloev is constantly forcing the grappling exchanges and is constantly forcing Murphy to defend takedowns, it makes it difficult for Murphy to get a constant striking flow going, and it will actually open up things for Evloev to start landing punches of his own. On top of that, Evloev is really good at chain wrestling. If the first takedown doesn't work, he's not just going to give up, but he immediately goes in for that second attempt, and then a third, and even a fourth if he has to. He's really good at staying with the hips and following his opponents no matter where they go. And over the course of a 5-round fight, that kind of pressure really starts to add up. Every time you have to scramble and get back up, it just drains your cardio and allows Evloev to keep winning small moments of the fight. Even if he's not doing massive damage, he's controlling the positions, controlling the pace, and putting himself in the best positions to win the rounds. On top of that, Evloev's cardio is one of his biggest strengths. We've seen him keep the same pace over 3 and 5 rounds and not slow down. And just like I said before, Murphy is probably the better striker, but Evloev's striking defense is good enough that he usually avoids taking big damage hits. He does have a nice guard, he stays disciplined, and he uses the threat of his takedowns to make his opponents hesitate to fully commit on the feet. If Evloev can do what he usually does, applies his pressure, mix in the wrestling, and controls the pace of the fight, I can see this matchup really start to favor him. So, when you really look at it and break it down between these two fighters, it all comes back to the original question. Will Lerone Murphy keep this fight on the feet and be able to deal with Evloev's pressure? Because we know and we have seen that he has the ability to get back up if he's taken down. He doesn't just accept bad positions, but it's more like how many times will he have to get up? He's going to be very dangerous in the early rounds when he's fast on his feet and can definitely land clean shots early on. But how fast will Evloev start to implement his wrestling? Once he starts closing the distance and forcing those grappling exchanges, that's where we see the dynamic of this fight really start to change. While Murphy does absolutely have the tools to make this a competitive fight, the longer that it goes on and the more grappling exchanges we see, the more that I see this fight starting to lean in Evloev's favor. So, with that being said, With my final predictions for this fight, I've got Movsar Evloev winning this by decision. I do see Murphy having his moments early on, landing clean shots, maybe really testing Evloev on the feet, making him respect his power. I could even see him really being able to win a round or even two if he's able to keep things at range, but the problem is with Evloev, he doesn't get overwhelmed. He is just so relentless with his pressure and wrestling, and he's going to be smart enough to force this fight into his wheelhouse. And I can see the first couple of rounds maybe being competitive with Murphy landing a couple sharp counters, but by the third round, that's where I can see Evloev's pace and grappling really start to take over. His striking defense is good enough to avoid getting hurt, and he doesn't need to knock out himself. All he needs to do is just maintain constant control and keep his pressure. And over 5 rounds, that's exactly how I see this fight is going to happen. Now, Murphy is going to be able to make this fight closer than what the odds say it's going to be, but I just don't see him being able to do enough to win this fight, unless he's able to just catch Evloev and knock him out cold. So, with my final call, Movsar is going to get this done in a close fight and win by decision, just like the rest of his fights has gone. And no matter how this fight plays out, we should be in for a good one, as both of these fighters have been climbing the rankings for a few years now. With both fighters feeling like they should have already had a chance at the title, this fight will truly show who the #1 contender of the division is. For Evloev, a win here would continue one of the most impressive streaks in the whole featherweight division, and at the same time, a win here for Murphy would be his greatest accomplishment so far in his career, and would cement him as undeniably one of the most elite fighters in the whole division. Either way it goes, both fighters have proven enough, no matter who wins this fight, they have to be next to fight Volk for the title. That's how I think this fight goes, but now this is where I want to hear from you guys. Do you agree with my prediction, or do you believe Murphy has what it takes to pull off the upset? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I always like to see what everyone thinks before the fight happens. And if you enjoy UFC breakdowns like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe, because I will be covering more up-and-coming fights, predictions, and breakdowns every week on this channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.